In this session, let us dive into the world of cache memory. We're going to understand completely about the cache memory. Okay. If you remember, in one of the previous sessions, while I was giving you an overview on the memory hierarchy, we discussed about the cache memory, the purpose of the cache memory, right? The purpose of the cache memory. What is the purpose of the cache memory? The cache memory is used to compensate the speed differences between main memory and the CPU. In order to compensate the speed differences between main memory and CPU. Main memory and CPU. That is because CPU is the fastest device, but main memory is not as faster as the CPU. Okay, for an example, let us say that the CPU, according to the clock logic, the CPU will be able to execute 1 lakh instructions per second. But in general, CPU will execute crores of instructions. But just for time being, let us understand for an example, CPU is capable of executing 1 lakh instructions per second. Fine. Now, when CPU will be able to execute this 1 lakh instructions per second? Whenever main memory is capable of supplying this 1 lakh instructions to the CPU, because the instructions are available with main memory. If main memory can reciprocate to this rate of supplying 1 lakh instructions to the CPU, then CPU will be able to capable of executing this 1 lakh instructions. But here the problem is main memory is not as fast as the CPU. Let us understand that the main memory will be able to supply only 10,000 instructions. Okay, so at that time, what is going to happen? Regardless of the speed levels of the CPU will just be able to execute the number of instructions that are supplied by the main memory. So here the problem is the total system's speed is limited by the main memory speed of the system. Okay, so here there is a huge speed differences between main memory and CPU. So in order to compensate the speed difference, we are going to use a cache memory. This is the major purpose that we are going to implement a cache memory in the system. Okay, just in order to compensate the speed differences. So we discussed about this phenomena already while we are discussing about the memory hierarchy. Now let us dive into completely the depth of the cache memory, because from the Gates point of view, cache memory is an important topic. Not only from the Gate point of view, cache memory holds an important role in the entire computer system architecture, precisely in the topic of the memory. Okay, now let us get into the details of the cache memory. Okay, now let me show you one diagram by using which I'm going to demonstrate the capacity of the cache memory, what the cache memory is capable of doing. Okay, now let us say I do have a CPU and I implemented the cache memory followed by main memory. Okay, this is my main memory, the system's main memory, the system's cache, and the system, of course, the CPU. Okay, now we implemented the cache to compensate the speed differences. Fine. Now, when you look at the cache at any point of period, you should come to a conclusion that this is a certain kind of a data that will always be available in the cache. That is, we need to find out what kind of a data that is available in the cache. Cache is going to store what? Okay. Now, some people will tell you that, of course, the reality also is the cache memory is going to hold the frequently accessed items. The frequently accessed data items, data elements or data items. Okay. Now, what is this frequently accessed? What is this term frequently accessed refer to? Okay. Now, let us understand. In order to understand this frequently accessed, the term frequently accessed, the phrase frequently accessed, let me take the help of the concept of locality of reference. Okay. I'm going to use locality of reference. If you want to understand cache completely, you need to understand a phenomena of locality of reference on which the cache is completely based. The cache is completely based on a phenomena called locality of reference, through which it is going to identify the contents that are going to be stored in it. Okay. Now, let us understand what is locality of reference. And in a nutshell, there are two kinds of a locality of references. One is temporal locality, and one more is spatial locality. Spatial locality. Okay. Temporal locality and spatial locality. Now understand what is temporal locality and what is spatial locality. This temporal locality is a phenomena that when a data item is accessed from the main memory, the data item might also be accessed in the near future. That is, when CPU access a data item from the main memory, the currently accessed data item might also be accessed in the near future. For that reason, the data item which is accessed by the CPU now should also be transferred to the cache memory for the future references. Okay, that means that in a temporal locality of reference, the data element which is being accessed by the CPU from the main memory might also be accessed in the near future. For that reason, we need to send the currently accessed data element from main memory to the cache memory for the future references, because if the data element is available in the cache, this data element will be accessed by the CPU very fastly. So this is called temporal locality. What is spatial locality? The spatial locality is a phenomena that in addition to the currently accessed data element, the data elements which are close to the currently accessed data element might also be accessed in the near future. For that reason, rather than sending the independent data element to the cache memory, you transfer a group of data elements in which the currently accessed data element is a part. Okay, this is what the spatial locality is all about. Okay, now understand this concept with a kind of example. Now CPU wants 23rd a data word which is available in 23rd address of the main memory. Okay, now again freshly I am drawing this. CPU want to access this is cache memory, let us say this is main memory. I want some bigger diagrams to demonstrate it completely. So let us see, CPU wants to access a data element under the address 23. Okay, now you know that if CPU wants to access any data item, it is going to search in the cache memory, because if the data item is already available in the cache memory will not take much time to locate the data element. That is, the access, if the data element in the cache is available, is very faster. The access to the cache is very faster. So CPU is going to search for this data element into the cache. Okay, when the data element is present, if the data element is present, it is going to directly read it from the cache. Okay, but Let us say the 23rd address, rather, the data element on the 23rd address is not present in the cache, which is nothing but a miss, right? So what CPU does? CPU will directly go to the main memory. Okay, it will locate 23rd address. Yes, 23rd address is located, under which there is a data element. Okay, what is the data element? Let us say the data element is, let us say, 450. So this 450 will be accessed by the CPU directly from the main memory. Okay, now here try to understand. In temporal locality, the word which is accessed concurrently might also be accessed in the near future. Which is the word that is accessed concurrently? The address 23, the word is 450. So the word which is available in the address 23 will be accessed, rather might be accessed in the near future. So for that reason, the word should be transferred to the cache memory. So tomorrow, maybe in the near future, if the CPU searches for this word, it need not go till main memory. Okay, so it can directly access it out of the cache memory. So this is what temporal locality is all about. There is another thing called spatial locality. What is spatial locality? When it comes to the spatial locality, in addition to the currently accessed data element, the data element which are closer to this might also be accessed in the near future. That is, you are accessing 23rd address. Not only 23rd, tomorrow, maybe in the near future, 24 may be accessed, 25 may be accessed, 26 may be accessed, 22 may be accessed. Okay, so which means that in addition to the currently accessed data element, a group of data elements which are closer to the currently accessed data element might also be accessed in the near future. So what we do is, rather than sending a single element to cache, we will send a group of elements to the cache. That is, a block of elements to the cache. So at that time, tomorrow, maybe in the next as a next reference, if the 24th address is accessed, that address will directly be available in the cache memory. Okay, after all, let me give you some wonderful concept or some wonderful idea in this regard. Let us say 23rd is an instruction. Okay, 23rd, it is not a data. Let us say it is an instruction. Okay, it's an instruction of a program. It is an instruction. Okay, now when you execute the program, which instruction is going to be executed after 23? Obviously 24, right? So that means that if you send only 23 to the cache, again for 24, there will be a miss. Okay, for that reason, rather than sending only the currently accessed data element into the cache, we will transfer a group of data elements. Let us say a block will get transferred to the cache. So obviously in the instruction access, after 23rd address, there will be a 24th instruction. So for that reason, there will be a block of data elements will get transferred to the cache whenever there is a miss. Okay, so this concept is called spatial locality. Spatial locality of reference. This is all about locality of reference. Okay,